Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I'm one of your two hosts, Nora Kyle, along with your other host,
Mushtaq Ali.
whose words I just stole.
Yes, you did. So now I'll have to come up with new ones.
No!
Yes.
All right, so, thanks for joining us, and whether you're joining us on YouTube or live, we are so happy to have you. Welcome. Mushtaq,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to do a little spieling?
All right, I will do some spieling. So, if you are watching us on YouTube, welcome. And if this is your first time watching us on YouTube, welcome twice. We're very, very happy to have you. I would like to invite you, for reasons far above and beyond what is usually given as a reason, to subscribe to our channel. We want you to subscribe to our channel not so that we can make money off of you, but so that we can stick it to the man. We're big on sticking it to the man. And right now, YouTube is forcing commercials on us. And once we can get in their affiliate program, we can turn the damn commercials off on specific videos, which will be kind of all of them.
Something we would really love to do.
And all
And
we need to
yeah,
do is to get 1,000 subscribers. And we're a little over halfway there.
so
Uh,
close. So
so
far.
close. So there are a lot of people who watch our videos who are not subscribed to us. I can tell because there's more than 500 people watching the videos. Um, and we would be delighted if you did. There could be amusing prizes. You never know. And we would also be very, very grateful if you would go down over here, right down in there, and click the like button, because that helps us get up in YouTube's arcane statistics and algorithms and all of this other stuff that somehow make it so you're one of the cool kids.
Pretty spooky stuff, but
Yes,
we're
but
trying
we
to
want to be one
make
of
it
the
work
cool
for us.
kids.
Yeah,
The only way we can do that is if you like us.
yep. And be honest. Give us good feedback if you're liking what we do. If you're not liking it, if you're feeling like you could suggest other ideas, we're open to that stuff too. That's why we
Yes, we're
keep our
open to
comments
all
open.
constructive criticism.
Yeah, we love having conversations in whether it's our Facebook group or via the comments here on YouTube or perhaps in a call itself. We definitely love dialogue. We feel like it helps us and it helps everyone joining us as well.
Yeah. And that gets us to the last thing, which is do seriously consider making a comment. We would love to hear from you. Who are you? Where are you from? What brought you here? If you've come back, why did you come back? Are you nuts?
We're
So,
happy we haven't scared you off yet, if that's the case. But maybe we're not trying hard
yeah.
enough.
And last but least, this channel survives purely on donation
Mm-hmm.
and what we can scrape together from the pittance that we make every month doing the things that we do. So if you look down in the comments or in the description,
The
you
description, yep.
will find a link to our PayPal donation page. And we would love it if you would drop anywhere between $1 and $1 million, whatever works for your budget. We're happy.
We'd be thrilled, yes.
Yeah.
And, we do one-on-one sessions as well. Mushtak and I
Yes.
both have at least one spot open each. And if you are looking to have one-on-one counseling with Sufi Dervish, what is the word we use? A consultation? Yeah,
Yes. We are consulting dervishes.
yes. Then
Yes.
we're here for you, and we would love
Yeah.
to chat. Yep.
Yes. And we can't guarantee you enlightenment in this lifetime, but we can at least guarantee you a good laugh.
Yeah, certainly that. All right. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Cool.
Let's do it. What are we talking about?
Okay, so we are revisiting attention, intention, and presence today.
Yes, there will be a link to the first video that we did on this, probably up here at the end of this one, which was a good video as far as it went. I would do it slightly differently today, but I kind of am, and so
I
is
mean,
Noor.
yeah, that's how we are watching ourselves shift and our content shifts along with us, and we are just going to take a different angle on the
Yes.
material today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some stuff that's important that we weren't able to address in the first one.
All right, so shall we leap into that, Mushtaq?
Let's leap into it.
Leap.
Take it away, Noor.
All right, so this time around, we're going to be focusing on what specifically this time, Mushtaq?
Well, we're going to talk about the three qualities of being. We say that the only thing that is really yours is your own being. And it's interesting because yesterday, I think in one of the comments on in the forum, somebody mentioned Descartes, and as usual, they say he said, "I think, therefore I am," which, I mean, that's a halfway decent translation from the Latin, though he actually said it in French and somebody else translated into Latin for him.
Right, yeah.
But people don't understand that. Descartes came to that statement by his radical doubting of everything. He asked himself the question, what can I know is real? What can I know is actually true? And he stripped away everything. He, looked at the world as if it was a complete solipsistic mess, and he figured that he could doubt every single thing, every part of his experience, except for the fact that there was the experiencer. There was that which is experiencing this. And that's the bottom line. You can't get any further down than that one. That is the witness that is talked about in the Yoga Sutras. And so that's where it starts. That is the being, for lack of a better word. We don't have good words. We need better words.
Well, that's part of the ever emerging process of the kind of work that we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yep.
Because there are no perfect words. As soon as you think they're perfect, you realize, oh, there's something missing here. Or, I would have said that differently, as we just said, So we will keep trying to find the right words, and in so doing, uncover a lot of things we might have otherwise not tripped across, perhaps. So anyway,
carry on.
well, a lot of things we talk about here have to do with this kind of emergence of being, right? Like, we have to invest in our intention, attention, and presence in order to allow beingness to emerge. And that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about, I think.
So, this is originally a Sufi teaching. And just for shits and giggles, I will give you the Arabic side of it. When we look at being, we say that being has three qualities, sort of like the law of three, as it were. And the qualities are called al-sifat in Arabic, and they say there are three. And the three qualities include niya, which means intention, intaba, which means attention, and hadra, which means presence. And those are written out in the slide that we did for
For this video, right?
for this video, yes. And
Yeah.
I'm looking, where is the slide for this video? There it is. So if I come here and do share screen, in a moment it will pop up. Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't draw this out. I should have drawn it out large, but I didn't. Now, here in the 3-point is niya, which this is intention, or attention, excuse me, intention. And then attention and presence. Now, what we see around these, you'll see these 6 points, and there are these weird little chicken scratchings. These are Arabic numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 1, 2, 3. Arabic numerals are read from right to left, not left to right.
Yep.
And here we have 2, 1, 3. And here we have 3, 2, 1.
And
3, 1, 2.
2 and 2, 3, 1.
Yes.
And 1, 3, 2.
Now, those of you who were in the 3 Laws and 6 Processes course will recognize these as the 6 processes. And so this is kind of suggesting to you that if you put this on the Enneagram, that the 3 states, the 3 parts of being, or the 3 qualities of being, is directly related to the 6 processes. I'm going to stop that there for the moment. Get rid of that.
I'm also going to cut and paste the names into the chat. The anglicized version. Let's see.
Yep.
What's the sequence that you're using there for the 6 processes?
The sequence that I'm using is the traditional sequence of how they fit on an Enneagram. And there's a few different ways of looking at it. I like the solfeggio method. So you have do, mi, sol, 1, 3, 5, or 1, 2, 3. And those get arranged in different ways.
And the traditional process for fitting them around the Enneagram, is there a particular teacher or teaching around that order?
Yep. There is a whole, we did a whole class on that, which is probably going to becoming available sometime soon.
I remember the class, but I also remember that there was different people had different ways of ordering those processes.
Mm-hmm. This is the right way.
And that's like, is that Ibn Arabi? to
No,
read this
no,
out?
this isn't Ibn Arabi. This comes down from the entire line of teachers. I learned this from my teacher. This is how he ordered it. And he learned it from his teacher, which is how he ordered it. On back into the dim reaches of the past. Thousands of years of ordering it this way.
I mean, just knowing that this is part of an oral tradition is, I feel even more fortunate that I can be learning this as well.
You're starting to fade out on me.
Yeah, just it's significant that it's an oral teaching. I appreciate the fact that you're sharing this with us, and I feel fortunate and thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. All right, so where were we?
Where were we?
So, yes, I have posted the 3, 2, 1 lineup of the words in the chat for everybody, so you can see how these Arabic words are spelled. As I said, in Romanized letters.
So, attention has 3 dimensions. Intention has 2 dimensions. Presence has 1 dimension. So just hold on to that for a minute and we will get back to it. Now, here's the thing, and this is true for all of the stuff that exists at the level of the law of 3. At the level of the law of 3, everything happens simultaneously. There basically isn't time. There's just now. And in now, in the moment of now, there is no sequencing. In order to have something move sequentially, you have to have time. And that's what the 6 processes talk about, is what happens when you take the law of 3 and you play it in time. Does that make sense? I should have had you get your keyboard out, Nor.
Wow.
The way to understand this is with the idea of a chord. A chord can either be played all 3 notes simultaneously, or as what's called an arpeggio, which is playing each of the notes of the chord one after the other.
Let's see. I can find it.
Well, is your phone handy?
Yep.
Because you can always play it on your phone keyboard.
That's what I'm thinking. Let me pull it up. Alright, let's do a nice middle C, shall we? Okay, so a chord,
That's
right?
what we want. Yeah, we want a major chord.
Okay. Let me turn it up. Okay.
So that's played as an arpeggio. Can you play it as a full chord?
Yep. So I'll do that again.
Yeah.
Gonna put down the sustain. So
that's yeah, the sustain chord is the law of 3. Now, with the 6 processes, she can play it 1, 3, 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she can play it 5-3-1. Or she can play it 2-1-5.
You mean 3-1-5?
And 3-1-5, yeah. And so on. Each of those gives you a completely different feel, but it is the same chord. You understand how that works?
Any questions so far? Jonathan.
What is the essence of a chord that make it a chord?
The ratios.
I mean, in the actual experience, me hearing it, why would I say, oh, that's a chord, or oh, that isn't a chord?
It has to do with the feel.
Mm-hmm.
Chords, especially major chords, feel right. And they all feel different. Can you play a minor chord, which is just flatting the second note?
Sure. Wait, that's going to be, yeah.
So you hear that? That's a minor chord, what they call Aeolian mode.
Yeah, it had some attitude.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Or, yeah. As opposed to, this sounds like, how would you describe that sound, Jonathan?
The major chord is bright and happy.
Oh.
The minor chord is sad and somber.
Mm-hmm.
If you went and played a seventh chord, that would be kind of bluesy.
Yeah, I'm
1 3 5 7.
1 3 5 7. Oh yeah, yeah. Or let's see. This is the tiniest goddamn keyboard. There. That's what the whole thing sounds like.
So, each chord has a feel to it. And each chord, if you look at the way that Pythagoras divided the octave in order to find the chords, to find all the notes and find the chords, he divided by fifths, which is 1-5. 5 is the perfect fifth from the octave. And then everything is divided from there in such a way that you always have these ratios, perfect ratios that are played. It actually sounds a little bit funny to our ears because we don't tune like that anymore. But
yeah, we've adapted to this,
we want to be able to modulate from one key to another. So we tune everything slightly out of pitch from the true. But when you're just doing this, and this is for you, Chris, this does go all the way back to Pythagoras.
Chris is giving a silent woo woo.
Yeah, well, he appreciates that kind of thing. So, now, the thing to understand is that when it comes to the level of the 6 laws, you are working in time. 3 laws, no time. 6 laws, time. And if you remember your ray of creation, it starts with the 1, then goes to the 3, then the 6, then the 12, then the 24, 48, 96. But 1 and 3 are like in the realm of the divine, in the realm of the pure universal being. And you don't get to this reality until you get to the 6. So,
Rashtak, would you say that 6 is the beginning of samsara?
yeah, You could say that. Or you could say it like Bucky Fuller said it, which is something along the lines of, the universe is one, and it seems to be sixfold.
I did not know he says that. Interesting.
He did say that. Bucky was onto a few things. Do you know Fuller's work, Jonathan?
No, I don't.
OMG.
Hmm.
It would warm the cockles of your builder's heart. He did amazing things in his lifetime.
That's true. Yeah. I invite you to check that stuff out, Jonathan, because I think you'll find it fascinating.
Okay, I will.
Buckminster Fuller.
So anyway, when we look at that Enneagram I drew up, we see
Are you going to
what
pull it
do
up
we
again?
see? Yeah, I'm pulling it up again. Sorry, it takes a minute to load this thing.
Yep, it does.
And I just realized we aren't going to look at that because I have a typo in it, and it will throw everything off.
Uh-oh,
Yeah,
that's no good.
I have intention and attention reversed.
All right, so
Or not, depending on how you want to read it.
You can. I've played with these a bit with shock, and not exactly within this context, but it does seem like they can go either way sometimes.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to look at it. For this, I have a particular way.
so is it backwards for the way you wanted to do it today?
I'm trying to decide. No, I would say that this is, if you look at intention as the affirming force, attention is the denying force, and presence is the reconciling force. That's the way we're going to talk about this.
Okay. Are you feeling like those can be shifted back and forth?
There is disagreement in various circles as to what's what. This is the one that I like, and I actually did do it right now that I look at it.
Okay, good. So then no worries.
No worries. I was tired yesterday, and I was missing a major part of my support system all day, so if I got something wrong, that's the reason. So I'm going to pull this up again. And we're going to talk about this. Here we go.
There it is.
So, the entering, exiting shock is presence. Intention is down here at the first shock, and attention is over here at the second shock.
So there we go. Yes.
Yes. And you'll notice that there are 2 of the 6 laws in between each of these. And so the first one that you see is affirming, denying, reconciling. And this is, I don't know how much I want to get into this. This has to do with creation and expansion. What I will say is that each of these 2 of the 6 laws here and here are related to how you develop each of these qualities.
Each of these 3 qualities.
Yeah, each of these 3 qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And even more interestingly, for those of you who remember the 9 precepts of the Khwajagan, you remember I said that it was 3, 2, and 1. Each of these had its own quality. So, attention has 3 qualities, or 3 dimensions. Intention has 2 dimensions, and presence has 1 dimension.
Yes. So, or shall we do attention first?
Yep.
All right. So
Yeah, the way that's read is as the triangle in the Enneagram moves, which is backwards to everything else. So from 6 to 3 to 9.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes.
So attention has volume. In our last talk we did on this, we talked a lot about attentional space. And attentional space has to do with how much can you hold in your attention for how long. That's your intention. That's your attentional space. And that's why it has 3 points.
Mm-hmm. So
Is that attention or intention?
Attention.
attention.
Attention having 3 aspects.
3 aspects.
Yes. And the Arabic word that we're looking at in that bottom left-hand part of the triangle is intaba.
Eintaba. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
I can't pronounce it any better than you can. Where is Wael when you need him?
Right. Yes. So, as far as the 3 aspects to this, it's going to include 3 of the 9 precepts, correct? Yes.
Yes.
So it's going to be, first we have the first precept, that is awareness of breath, hushdardam. And this is when we are bringing attention specifically to the breath as the first step to awakening beingness, as we mentioned in the beginning. And this doesn't mean we're changing our breathing in any way. This is just us tuning into it, bringing awareness and breathing with awareness.
Yeah, breathe consciously.
Mm-hmm. That's what hoshdardam means, yes. Yep.
What's the second one? What's the
second
part
one
of this?
is watchfulness. So this is about placing attention on the immediate perceivable environment. So this is going to be kind of like, as opposed to a pointed focus where you're focusing on specific details, specific things moving in front of you perhaps, you're using a soft focus in order to avoid fixating on any specific object in the environment and just taking in a kind of diffuse sense of being in the space and taking in the environment. And this is not about, making commentary on the environment. This is specifically about just observing in the most sensory definition of that word. So you want to avoid allowing your attention to stick to specific things. This is why it's called a soft focus. And then thirdly, we have, oh yeah, by the way, how do you pronounce that one? Nigadash?
Nigadasht.
Yes, okay.
Though
so
Zainab
that's-
is here and she will pronounce them way better than me.
Yes, yes. Zainab, I would love maybe at the end if we can get you to help us out with the pronunciations after I get through this third one. So then we have recollection, and this is the third part of the quality of attention. So this is going to be observing your own awareness. So this is a reflexive attuning to, attending to your own awareness. So this is yadasht, right? So if
Get
Zainab
rid of this.
would help us out, how do you pronounce these three? It's Hoshtardam. How would you say that one?
That was almost Hoshtardam.
Great. And then we have watchfulness. That's the Igadasht.
Nigahtasht
Okay, cool. And Yadasht.
and Yadtasht.
Okay, thanks. Awesome. All right. So then we have,
And I have to tell you, Noor, that my screen has, or my Zoom client has screwed up on me again like it did last time. And
Really?
I've lost all of the pictures and everything.
do you want to, the recording.
No, I can't drop out because I'm recording.
Okay.
I'm just going to assume that it's seeing me because it did the last time.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you're
maybe
still
it'll
on
come
video.
back.
Yeah, perhaps. Okay, shall I continue? Did you want to
Yes,
say
please.
anything? All right.
Let me just say that each of these things is a practice.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the practices is one that I would like everybody to learn. You don't have to learn it, but I would like everybody to learn it.
Yeah. Don't we have a video series on YouTube?
We
like
do have a whole video
playlist?
series on this, yes.
Yes. So
It's
all 9 of the things we're talking about here, the practices we're talking about here, in relation to these three qualities, can be discussed further in a playlist we have on our YouTube channel called the 9 Precepts. So keep that in mind. All right, so moving forward. Next, we're talking about intention. So we've covered attention. Now we're covering intention. And this has 2 dimensions. And this is something that joins 2 points in a field. So we're kind of literally talking about 2 dimensions in this metaphor.
Yeah, looking at 3 dimensions are like, our world where you have
Yep.
depth, height, breadth. This 2 dimensions would be a plane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the practices that go with this,
Yeah.
care to tell us about those, Noor?
All right. So first of all, we have restraint, aka return. And this is imploring us to travel one way, to be single-minded. What would you add about this, Mushtaq?
Well, that's what intention is. Intention is the ability to focus down on something that is important to you, and you do become totally single-minded about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you notice, we've gone from like a diffuseness in a way to more of a pinpointed, more targeted focus. All right. Yes. So when you focus your attention in this way, it's almost like you automatically engage your intention. That's because you have an aim. We talked about an aim or a meaning a bit last week. So there's some threads here. Yeah. So what more would you like to say about that, Mushtaq, in terms of like making a kind of field with a person's intention, like taking their consciousness and kind of shaping it into a field?
Yeah, and focusing that field.
Yeah.
Focusing it on the one thing. And that gets you to the second practice with intention, which is
Yeah.
nazar bar qadam.
Yes. Watch your steps. So I just want to touch on a comment from Chris who says, returning to oneness, aiming towards one. Yes. So that's that pinpointedness, single-mindedness. Yep. All right. So watch your steps. Yeah. This is to be conscious of our actions, working towards fulfilling our intention. So again, this is like feeding into that single-minded focusedness, and making sure that you check yourself when you find yourself getting distracted or caught up in things that you think are related but you realize are pulling you away from your intention, and keeping track of consequences. You know, you need to inform every movement forward that you make by thinking about, okay, what is the impact of this going to be? Is it going to help me further towards my aim? Or is it going to pull me away in a different direction? That's absolutely part of this. That's a practice in itself. And then finally, we have presence. And presence is like that target that you are aiming for. It's a single point in and of itself. And this is all about remembrance. What would you like to tell us about that, Mushtaq?
Well, this is, it relates to Gurdjieff's idea of self-remembering. And yeah, we have the Persian there, which is yad kard or yad kardam. And it literally is, it is the equivalent to dhikr, to the act of being in remembrance of the one reality.
Yes.
Now, when you get all three of these working, when you have your presence, and presence is always the initiating shock. That's why it's up there at 9 point. None of this happens without presence.
Yep.
So presence initiates.
And all this also fuels more presence as well.
Yes.
Yep.
And intention focuses. Attention is going to give you the space that you want or that you need in order to connect all three of these up. So you work within your attentional space, but you can't get to your attentional space without presence and intention. Does that make sense?
If it does not make sense, feel free to say so.
Yeah, and realize I'm operating blind here, so
Yeah. We do have a question from Joyesh, who says,
Yes.
So if one is aware of one's awareness, is he or she in presence?
You have to have a certain amount of presence in order to be aware of your awareness. Yeah. You don't do that in the dream.
Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad. Yeah. So Nancy, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm not, I'm mostly curious about what presence means.
You remember old Baba Ram Dass grinning at you from the middle of his book going, "Be here now"?
I remember the title of the book at least.
Yeah. Presence
And
is what happens when you be here now rather than being there then.
yeah, it was funny because I started out thinking about what the word meant to me, and it was very much involved with impressing other people.
Yep.
Not that kind of presence here.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right. And, I sort of settled down to, okay, you can have presence all by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's worth delineating and differentiating. Yes. This is definitely the be here now kind of presence. Yes. Rather than that, wow, he has that it thing. He's a star. Yeah, no, we're not talking about that. But that's an excellent thing to point out. So thank you. All right, very cool. David, how about you?
Doing well, no questions over here.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Do you have any answers, David?
Yeah.
I wish.
Mr. Keem, how's it going?
I don't have any question at the moment yet.
I'll cut you some slack. I know you're a little sleepy this morning. It's okay. Yeah. Jayesh, yeah.
Yeah, so in geometry, we learn that geometry starts from a presupposition that suppose there is a point, and then point start traveling in one direction. So it becomes a ray.
Yep.
And then if the the same point travels to the other direction, then it becomes line. So it's like divided attention. So one arrow of attention is going out, second arrow is going in. So it's a line. And if I can add some other dimension, like focusing on breath, becoming aware becoming aware of my surrounding, and then aware of those two things simultaneously. So I'm adding one more line to it. So it's kind of expansion of line and it becomes plane. So can this be related?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's basically how it was originally explained. Like I said, this goes back to Pythagoras. And the way to think about it is rather than starting at no dimensions, which is the point, you have the one dimension, which is a line, two dimensions, which is a cross, where you have two right angles, and then three dimensions, which is where you have the third right angle. And I wish I had a way to draw that out for you guys, but I can't access my whiteboard right now because nothing is working on this. I'm going to have
We're going to have a talk with Zoom.
Yeah, a serious talk with Zoom because
Yep.
it wasn't doing this before the latest update.
No, and I haven't had any problems, so we'll be checking
Yeah,
this
but
out.
you don't usually share your screen, and this happened when I was sharing my screen.
Yeah, there must be something about the protocols and that. All right, so we know that we need to work on that. But
Yeah.
yes, I think using geometry as a metaphor can definitely be helpful in understanding this, and I'm glad that landed well for you, Jayesh. So, great. Yeah. Jonathan, how are you doing?
Yes, so you asked the question, does this make sense?
Yes.
So I have my feeling, my experience of presence, and I have my experience of intention and my experience of attention. the question, does this make sense? This is, to me, right now I'm in my head. I have this complicated diagram that I'm trying to hold this all together, and I'm not in a state of presence because of that. I'm too in my head. In my head, I could say, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but I'm not with this. I'm not in the experience.
And that's
right now.
okay. Yeah, I feel like this is, especially when this is new stuff and you are taking notes and all that stuff, that's okay. Yeah, you don't have to worry about being totally present right now when you're just starting to absorb this, and if that's the process that works for you so that you can sit with it later and think, okay, how can I be with what is in relationship with what we talked about this evening? Yeah, you can certainly take that approach later and then come back and share with us what came up for you. How's that?
Thank you.
Yeah. Dave, how about you?
Well, I'm going to come straight out with it. I'm a sucker for triangles, so I'm enjoying this a lot. And it linked, for me, it links very clearly to last week's topic.
Mm-hmm.
In terms
say more
of
about
like
that. Yeah.
when you get the triangulation.
Oops, you muted yourself.
Am I back?
Yes. Okay, tell us about the triangulation.
Well, I would say I have found when I get these triangulating, that question of meaning from last week doesn't really occur. My life just goes about, and everything that comes into it is going along in line with the intention in a way that is for me as well, like the Dave flavored of that intention towards one, which has certain qualities to it, possibly related to the 6. I'm going to have to dive back into that 6 processes course again soon, I think.
Yeah.
I found that when I do the thing that does my individual meaning, my presence goes up. And so I just follow that. I don't really think about it. I follow what occurs in the world that increases presence, and then everything else kind of follows in relation to that, if that makes sense.
I think it does. Does it make sense to you, Mushtaq?
Yeah. I think Dave has the right of it with this, and he's right. It's all about the triangles.
It's a love triangle here. Or triangle, love triangle. There we go. It's a triangle, love triangle. Alright. Thanks, Dave. Cherie, how are you doing? Yes, I'm calling on all of you. Deal with it.
Hey. Well, I don't have anything to add. This is just fine, just the way it is.
Great. Yes. Awesome. Zainab, how are you doing?
I might have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yay.
Lay it down.
So I noticed there were 2 of the 9 precepts that were not, you didn't include them.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
Was the Safar bar Vatan and Khalvat dar Anjuman, the 3rd and the 4th one?
Yep.
So
why are they not included?
Yeah.
Because they are used for something else. And this is a special secret teaching that only initiated people can learn.
Super secret.
Super secret.
And to learn what those 2 that aren't included are.
Send 1995, no stamps.
Yeah. Well, in seriousness, again, I recommend you guys go watch the playlist on the 9 precepts that we have on our channel. So, yeah. Good catch, Zainab.
Yeah, those last two are very, very important, and yeah, we're going to need to address that specifically in a talk, I think.
Okay, let me make it.
And we can't do that until I can get this glitch turned up, because that's going to require a lot of diagrams, and if this crashes when I try and use the screen sharing.
We will fix this. I have faith. Dave says, diagrams, you say.
Diagrams. Dave's fave.
There may be triangles, Dave. Contain yourself. No.
Oh no.
I love you guys. Alright, so yeah. Did you have any other questions, Zainab? I mean, that was a big one, and
I also noticed Nazar bar qadam, the second one was in two of them. So both in attention and intention. Am I right?
I don't think so.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have mumbled something like that, but
I may have. Yeah.
Yeah, to confuse.
Yeah.
So it's in the intention.
Which one is that one?
The second one, Nazar bar qadam.
Alright.
yeah, that's in the second one. Watch your step.
Under intention.
Intention, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Good. Anything else? Okay, cool. Chris, what's up?
I'm having a great time over here.
You are.
I'm noticing more possible connections with.
1 second, all right, Chris? Mushtaq, would you
Yes?
mute yourself for a second?
Sure. Well, I can't, actually.
Ooh, that's right, you can't. Okay.
I wish I could, because the...
We are all just gonna be superhuman tonight. That's just what's happening.
You can mute me, though.
I actually can't. I actually
Can't?
can't. Nope.
Damn.
Maybe what I have is more of a request anyway, which is if Mushtaq, you'd be. Are there Buddhist concepts that you would be comfortable associated with some of these concepts that you mentioned?
I can't quite hear you. For one thing, there's this loud music blaring behind me right now.
Comedy, everyone. Comedy. Can you hear me, Mushtaq?
I can hear
You can't
you.
hear anybody. So he was asking, if I may repeat it, he was asking if you happen to know of any Buddhist concepts that mirror what we're talking about. And that may be a little bit outside of our purview, but I know we have done a couple talks on some of those things related to attention, intention, and presence, at least. Maybe.
Yeah. We should probably do that.
Yeah, so now we have 2 talks to, in future, get our asses around to doing. Alright. I'm taking notes. Mushtaq must be taking notes. About. Alright. Buddhist equivalents to precepts, right? Is that what you're asking about? The precepts themselves?
I was thinking more of the attention, intention, and
Okay.
presence. But if there's connections with the precepts, then that's like, wow.
Okay, so I will make a note that, those are two different things. I think, yeah, we'll have to go back through our archive and see if we have done a topic on that. I do vaguely remember there being a triangle in some Buddhist terms somewhere in the past. But that's an excellent suggestion if we have not done that yet. So thank you for bringing that up. Do you have any other things you want to mention?
This is great. Thank you.
You are welcome. So I don't think I've missed anyone. So much talk.
Yes.
How should we wrap up this evening?
We can say goodbye to everybody and wave. I can't switch us onto Brady mode. And if it happens like last week, once everybody logs off, I'll get my screen back and then I can quit out of the program.
All right, everyone. So unfortunately, we won't be able to wave goodbye to everyone on YouTube, but we can wave goodbye to everyone who's here live and share the good vibes. Thank you so much for putting up with us and our
Yes, and I will be complaining to Zoom even if I have to go to their office because it's only a couple miles from here.
So
knocking on their door, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, we're gonna get that handled ASAP. So have a
because
wonderful
I can't be
day.
having this happen.
Right. Have a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are, and we will spend time with you again soon, God willing. Bye, everybody.
Yes. Bye. And now everything's coming back.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I realized that I forgot to make you a co-host. My bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, we're still recording, so.
Yeah, let's see.
Do we want to just close the window?
I can't close the window. I literally cannot do anything.
All right, guys. See you later.
Yeah, if we get everybody logged off, that may make a difference.
Okay.
There. Everybody's logged off now. I can stop the